Let's continue.
There's nun watering flowers in front of the monastery area. This is the monastery roof to my left. Another beautiful view of the city. Old city walls. She's got her rose garden down there.
Watching your step? Right. 3 stories high, but commands a view of the entire area.
This was a rich guy's area up here. We're up on top of the hill, looking down at the lower levels, the cathedrals, and the other side of the wall.
The domes and the bell towers you can see from here. Well, we started our walk on the wall from there, from the old harbor, and there we can see the clock tower. Over to my right hand side, left from the small dome, is the clock tower.
Yeah.
Do you have your maps with you?
Yes.
So the clock tower is the number 9 on the map.
The city map?
Yeah, on the city map number 9, which is in blow from that direction, in the early evening from the opposite direction. So the streets are designed straight, wide, to allow the weak wind to blow in, to take the bad air away. During the winter, we have the bura blowing from the mountain slopes. Bura is a northerly wind that blows down the mountain slopes. In Corčula, it also blows there, but Corčula is away from the mountain.
Outside
it's
the
not
walls
as strong
here.
as in Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik is directly underneath the mountain.
That's where the Serbs were up on top of the hills with their mortars, dropping mortars in here.
Regular.
You got a speech?
No, Gary, come on, hurry.
You got a speech?
Yes, tomorrow. I'm writing it down.
Okay. Let's go sell some rags.
We're going to toss the loose stones down to you. Have tea and lemonade ready for us when we get down.
No, there's beer. Beer is what you get.
Lemonade good. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
This is a domed section heading up. Outside, and the dome is the floor of the tower. There's even Hebrew writing here, Japanese, Croatian, all kinds of languages. This is the kind of view you get from the top here.
In September 1991, you were on Corčula yesterday. Well, Corčula was spared. The fighting wasn't going on there, so you won't see a lot of damage. You can notice the color of the roof tiles here. The old roofs were replaced. 2,000 mortar shells hit the town during from September till the end of December 1991. Well, I live in Savta. That's a small town 7 miles down the coast, near the airport, just underneath the airport, also on the coast. I was 7 when it all started. The tension were going up for around a year, half a year, and then in September 91, I remember how it started for my family. We lived just above the sea, and a gunboat, early in the morning, arrived to the bay. It circled the bay, the one over there. The bay, encouraged by their success in the countryside. The Serbs and Montenegrins expected for Dubrovnik to surrender quickly. So basically, they started pushing their way in the area. The roads were blocked. The schools were closed down. Police curfew. At 7 o'clock in the afternoon, everyone had to be at home. So it was a very difficult and unusual period. After a year, that area was liberated.
There's an example of a house that's lost its roof in that Serbian Montenegrin bombardment. We'll get to it eventually, but also points out how much reconstruction has gone on since then. Of course, that was 18 years ago. Our guide was, I think he said, 7 years old during the war with Serbia.
And Montenegro.
Montenegro, these bad guys were bombing this beautiful UNESCO heritage this area without any regard for the protection. It shows you what UNESCO means to people. We're right near the square where we're going to get the bus returning, but it's a scenic restaurant here that we started the tour at, or I started the tour at. It's like the Great Wall of China view going up here.
Let's gather here. Your side with the old yellow tiles, and about the convent of St. Clair underneath. Well, there used to be a lot of convents around. Back then, each family had a few members serving the church. It was unwritten rule that the oldest son in the family inherits all, not to divide the land. That was important. So the land stays within the family. The second oldest son had an option to stay at the house to obey his older brother, to work the land together with his family, or to try to make his own fortune working as a sailor. Old yellow tiles was built in 1317. It is still active, but in the old days it had over 80 friars, today only 5. It is most known for its pharmacy. The pharmacy inside is the oldest operating pharmacy in Europe. In the old days they were using the gardens that we saw to grow the herbs for which they would make the medicines. Nowadays they are only making the creams. They are using old prescriptions to make. When thinking public, it's a large inscription above the entrance to the hall of the Great Council, like Congress today in the United States. And that inscription says, forget your private interests. They knew if an individual has a lot of power, it can also harm the community. So to avoid one family gaining the power over the other families. So the rector ruled for a month. He couldn't be re-elected in 3 years' time. And while he ruled in the presidential palace, his family stayed at home to leave his private business at home. So his wife and children had to stay at home to leave his private worries at home. Only one monument, and that monument was erected to a common, not to a patrician person. They believed it's your duty to serve the republic, the community, churches.
Had a lot of priests, needed jobs.
To keep the priests, especially Jesuits, busy and out of politics, which was important for the community, especially considering the relationship with the Ottoman Empire. Do you know that before Dubrovnik and its merchants started trading with the Turks, Dubrovnik had to seek permission from the Pope. Pope issued a privilege called permission to trade with the infidels in order for Dubrovnik to do a safe trade with the Turks. And Dubrovnik was the only community that was allowed such a privilege because it was entirely surrounded by, pointed out, the Serbian Orthodox Church. Then there's the synagogue, the second oldest in Europe, and a small mosque. So Dubrovnik is a very tolerant community. Let's continue.
And here the tourist boats are coming back in. There's a bar down here. You can be refreshed in one of the gates. People are enjoying a drink under the umbrella, lighting up a cigar. Love. Some rowing club out for exercises, maybe a race. There's a major race in Bled, on the lake in Bled, for the old Yugoslavian countries. Coming up next week, I think. All stopping for a little bit of information here.
And it's a beautiful example.
They would be back home for a year, 2 years, depending where they're sailed. Back then they were using the masts. They had no engines, so the voyages were really slow. What do you think when foreigners, merchants or sailors, were entering the town? They had to spend 40 days in isolation before entering the town. If you look over for my left behind you, you can see the old coughs. They would be forbidden from entering the town. The worst disease was plague, the Black Death. And because of bad medicines, they didn't have very effective medicines back in 1600s. But the city started quarantining visitors in 1377 on an island just a few miles down the coast. Do you know why we call such a building a quarantine?
No.
Because of the number 40. In Latin or Italian, number 40 is 40. 40, quarantine. Go straight, turn left, you can walk across the main street. In 10 minutes you are back on the bus station. But you don't have to go across the main street. The first turning left is the shopping alley. On the beginning of the alley, so over there, go straight, turn.
Here's the Dubrovnik map.
Have you tried
We
it
just
earlier?
walked the walls all the
With
way
the
around
orange or
this
lemon. Slice it, sugar it, and
area, and we're going to number 9, I think, is the
as a dessert. You can find it there on the market.
synagogue.
There's
So we're in the synagogue. They have a museum downstairs. We'll visit a very narrow building, an old altar, some Torahs that go back 600-700 years, and a beautiful ceiling. Take it back.
So how old is the synagogue? Second oldest in Europe. Meaning how old?
Still in use.
Was it 1400? I remember. I don't know.
1492.
Really?
Yeah. When the Spanish Inquisition, I came here. Oh, there's the ladies' gallery upstairs. The lady upstairs in the gallery. Walking around there. This has been voted the most beautiful school garden in Croatia. He just told us. We're on our way to see one of the Grand Circle recipients of some of their funds, non-profit organization providing school children with supplies and stuff. We're going into the school to see the children. This is why we're here at this specific school. It's a Grand Circle Foundation gift.